Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. Sorry about that delay. I thought I'd gone live. I've actually been talking for like 5 minutes. My secret shame. No, it's only been like 2.5, 3 minutes. But yeah, so rewinding. So yesterday we got to, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today is day 4 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. And today we're going to be finishing up that DPS Handbook review. Okay, yesterday we made it all the way to question 30. Now, question 30 was, what requirements does an individual need to have in order to teach someone with a driver's permit how to drive? Well, plain and simple, folks, they need to be 21 or over. They need to have a driver's license for at least a year. They need to be seated in the front seat and actively paying attention and helping you with the driving task. And by helping, they're giving you advice, they're telling you stuff to watch out for, they're reminding you to slow down or stop as you approach intersections, things like that. All right, now this can be any individual that meets these requirements. So if your parents are a little more high-strung or aren't necessarily built for teaching someone how to drive, no worries, it doesn't specifically have to be them you do the 30-hour log with. It simply has to be someone they approve of. Now, with my parents, I did my first driving lesson. My dad was trying to teach me to drive standard when I was already able to drive. And 30 seconds into my first lesson, he was like, nope, we're done. Because I was having difficulty shifting because, well, he explained it poorly. I did not understand what he wanted because, how do you press the gas, the brake, and the clutch at the same time? I don't know, but that's what he told me to do. And since I only have 2 legs, I was unable to do that, and that was unsatisfactory for him. All right, my mom, on the other hand, my very first driving lesson with her when I was actually learning to drive, getting behind the wheel the first times of my own car, was an hour and a half of her telling me that I'm crazy. What am I doing trying to drive if I don't know how to drive? And I was like, that's the whole point of me trying to learn. So, neither parent was really great, really able to effectively teach me how to drive. Now, if your parents don't just aren't that chill, if they can't handle the stress, that's fine. Anyone they approve of that meets those qualifications, 21 and over, has a license, it's not currently suspended, they're willing to sit in the front seat and pay attention. That's it. That's all it's got to be. So, folks, even if it's a tío, a tía, a cousin, a friend, a neighbor, a dude y'all pay $10 an hour to because he needs the cash and he's willing to do it, whatever. Hey, but they simply need to meet those qualifications. All right, and there's no limit to how much driving you can do within a given day while you're out there practicing. But you shouldn't overstress yourself. You shouldn't spend too much time driving because stress for a prolonged period of time is just not great for you. All right. All right. So now moving on. Question number 31. If a person is under 18, when does his provisional license expire? Well, for this one, the answer's in the question. All right. Any ID you have, whether it's your permit, your provisional license, is going to expire on your 18th birthday. Okay. And then you only have to worry about renewing it every 8 years. But that does mean that if you've got a permit and you still haven't turned it into a full driver's license, or if you've got that first driver's license and you're about to turn 18, you need to go renew. Okay, that's absolutely fine. No worries. We appreciate it, but if you can't make it to the live stream, just watch the replay. That's quite all right. You're not forced to be here. But thank you for letting us know. We appreciate that, and thank you for the effort. So yeah, folks, regardless of what kind of license, what kind of ID you've got for your license, you need to renew it prior to your 18th birthday. Now, here's a great part, though. If you already have the provisional license, if you already have that first license that lets you drive with one friend and not between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., the hours you're most likely to encounter a wrong way or drunk driver, the hours that it's hardest to drive because of lack of visibility, once you renew that provisional license, it becomes a full driver's license. And the state of Texas allows you to renew 60 days in advance. So that means that if you already have your provisional license when you are 17, 60 days before your 18th birthday, you can renew it and it becomes the full driver's license. You will print out the full driver's license when you renew online, because you're allowed to renew online and then in person. Online, in person, online, in person, so you don't have to go in every single time. Okay? So you will print out that full driver's license, and they will send you that full driver's license in the mail, so you will no longer have restrictions. So it's a really good idea to remember to get this done as early as possible. And the earliest you can do it is 60 days before your birthday. Now, if you have a permit and you're still taking your driving lessons, folks, you need to maintain your permit in order to continue the driving lessons. We've had students show up and their birthday was last weekend, they forgot to renew their permit, and now they can't go to the driving lesson. We got to charge them $40. They got to go to DPS to renew it, and it's just kind of a pain and a headache for everyone involved, right? But it's your responsibility, all right? When you're, 24, 25, 26, whatever age you'll be when you're renewing your driver's license, who's going to do it for you? It's going to be you, all right? That's why I say that, welcome to adulthood, because we expect y'all to do this. This is your responsibility. You got to stay on top of it, all right? So remember that. On your 18th birthday, 60 days prior, you may renew. You can do it online one time, and then it's got to be in person the next. They do that so you renew the picture at least every 16 years, because my next picture is going to look very different than my last one. Let's here. Let me show y'all what I looked like the last time I took a picture for my driver's license. I still got 2 more years on this guy, but boom, that's Steve right there. Can't even recognize that dude. Dramatic change. All right, so they want to try to keep that semi up to date. Now, when parked parallel, your curbside wheels must be no more than how many inches from the curb? Well, when parked parallel, your curbside wheels must be no more than 6 to 18 inches from the curb. All right, we don't park closer than 6 inches because when it rains, that's where all the twigs, the broken nails, the broken glass, or the bent nails, the broken glass and stuff like that winds up right there on the edge of the roadway as the water kind of drags it along. Okay? And we don't want to be further than 18 inches out because then you get hit. All right? But here's the deal, folks. All right? When you park parallel, we are going to teach you a system right now, and I'm going to give you verbal instructions on how to do it. All right? And if you follow these verbal instructions, you'll be able to get 7 out of 9 points even if you blow this distance. All right? Now that means on your driver's test, you could lose a whopping 2 points. Ooh, a 98. 98's still better than what I got. I got a 96 on my driving test back in the day, so each and every one of you has the ability to do better than me, even if you mess this up. Okay, so please do not turn parallel parking into some undefeatable beast, because really what it is it's a 7 out of 9 worst case scenario if you do everything else right. Right? Because we grade, or the state grades on the system, cops, control, observation, position, signal. Okay, control, do you make the car do what you want? Heck yeah, you can by the time you take that test. Observation, are you looking at each and every intersection that you approach and looking before you go through an intersection at a stop or a traffic signal? Darn tootin', you're gonna be doing it because that's you. Okay? Control, position, and signal, we can teach you to do. Observation is your decision. If you choose to be observant and look every single time, you're choosing to protect yourself and follow the rules. If you choose not to do that, well then you're choosing to do lousy on that exam. Because observation is enough to fail you if you never look. But if you never look, you'll also not avoid collisions, avoid accidents. You're just going to be going. And that's not safe. So we got to work on observation. And you can start doing that right now from the front seat. Just as you approach an intersection, before you get there, before you cross through, look, make sure that the other cars are doing what they have to. If you're at a stop waiting and you see that the person that's driving is about to take off, but you see the person coming from the right is speeding up instead of slowing down to stop for the stop sign, maybe give them a shout out. Because that's what observation does, is it alerts us to when other people are not doing what they need to be doing. All right? Position, well, that's these points. We can teach you position for everything else, but those are these 2 points. All right? And then signal. Did you use your signal at the appropriate times while parallel parking? We'll teach you to use your signal at appropriate times while doing anything. While driving, while turning, while changing lanes. Okay? So you can get the signal, so you'll have the control. You can make the choice to do observation. You will be signaling because you have to, it's required by law. And that's 7 points right there. So if you blow the position, if you're a little closer, a little further, you could lose 1 for being too close, or you could lose 2 for being too far. Oh no. Okay, so don't make it scary, folks, because position ain't nothing. We can live without them 2 points. If those are the only 2 points you lose during the exam, you get to brag real hard about what you got on the exam anyway. All right? Now, for proper parallel parking. All right? You want to make it simple? You want to keep it easy? All right, folks, this is how you do it. Line up your vehicle so that the front of your back tire is even with the back corner of the vehicle you want to park behind. Okay, boom, that's easy, and you stop right there. Now, you also want to try to have that same 6 to 18 inches between you and the vehicle that you're trying to park behind. All right, a little closer to 18 is safer, it's less scary, it's easier to work with, and you can still wind up with perfect results. Because if you do everything perfect, you're going to be in the perfect position. If you're slightly off, oh no, you'll lose 2 points. All right? Because even if you're pointed in the wrong way, completely crooked, or, like pointed, I don't know, just some crazy position that I can't even fathom, you're still only going to lose 2 points. Okay? Now, once we're in this position, we're going to signal to the right because here we are parallel parking to the right, and on the exam you will be parallel parking to the right, as that is the common side to parallel park on, because we drive and park on the right side of the road. Okay? So you're going to signal to the right. You line up your position so that your front of your back tire is even with the back of the vehicle you're going to park behind. You signal to the right. Boom, there's our signal. All right, now you turn your steering wheel all the way to the right until it stops. Then once it stops, you start backing it up. All right, now when you go out there to practice, we've got 2 poles set up. One to represent that back corner you need to line the front of your back tire up with. And then the other pole we have is the center of the vehicle you're going to be parking in front of. Okay, the space that they give you for parallel parking is freaking huge compared to the vehicle. Okay, as long as you follow these steps, you got this. It's not even hard. All right. So turn the wheel all the way to the right and then slowly start backing up. Now, we control the speed while reversing by pressing in the brake harder or lighter. Okay, we moderate our speed. Don't just take your foot off the brake and let the car fly backwards. No, slowly ease your foot off and let the car gradually get into that perfect position. And what's that perfect position? Once you are at a 45-degree angle from the curve, like the car is in this image. Now, that can be kind of tough, but that's real easy to do. Because a right angle is the easiest thing we can do. Anyone can make an L. Okay? So you make your right angle, and then boom, you point halfway, and there's your 45. And you're just looking like, what am I going to be looking at? All right. So you back up, and once your vehicle's in that 45, once you see you got that right angle, you're looking in the proper direction, the curb is at that right angle for you, then, and we're looking back so we'll be able to see the curb, we'll be able to see ourselves approaching, okay? Then you stop once you're in that position. Now, once you do get to that position, we're going to turn our steering wheel all the way to the left. Okay, so we're moving to the right, or we're parallel parking to the right, so the first way we turn it is to the right, all the way. Well, then we stop and we turn it all the way to the left. Why? Because now that we've angled ourselves, we need to finish backing up and straighten out. That's it. That's all that's left. So you turn the wheel all the way to the left, and then remember, we have to keep that signal on, and when you turn the wheel to the left, that right turn signal turns off. That's why after a turn, the signal turns off on its own. So we turn that right turn signal back on by lifting that stick, and we finish backing up. Now, when you are reversing, you are expected to be looking back. It's much easier the second time because now we're just backing up until we're parallel to the curb with occasional glances forward and to our mirrors. Right? And again, we ease up off the brake nice and slow. Don't adjust the wheel while you're backing up. Just hold it there all the way to the left and back up. Once you're parallel to the curb, once you're even with the curb, stop the vehicle. If you feel yourself hit the curb, don't gas to go over the curb. Leaving the roadway is an automatic fail. It's illegal to leave the roadway. You can't be jumping the curb while trying to park. All right? Could be a pedestrian there. So if you bump into the curb, just stop the vehicle and you lose your 2 points. Oh no, we shed a tear for you, move on, and you get a 98. All right, if you don't hit the curb, then boom. You just straighten out, stop the car once you are straight. And then if you are 6 to 18 inches from the curb, you get those 2 points and you get 9, and now you're still working on your 100. All right, if you don't get those 2 points, oh, you're starting with a 98, not a big deal. Parallel parking is the first maneuver that you have to perform on your driving test. They take you outside, they put you in the car, they check the signals, they check the lights, they check the horn, and then they take you out to go test, and you start by parallel parking. You will practice it 5 to 7 times before you get to the test, and I can guarantee, folks, each and every one of you can get 7 out of 9 points on your very first attempt if you just remember those rules. All right, so step 1, pull forward, line yourself up 6 to 18 inches from the vehicle that you want to park behind, with the back corner of that vehicle lined up with the front of your back tire, or that pole that we have out there lined up with the front of your back tire. Turn the wheel all the way to the right, signal to the right, look back, back up, occasional glances forward and in your mirrors. Once you're at that 45-degree angle, stop the car. While looking back, you bring it to a stop, press that brake all the way in, and then turn the wheel all the way to the left. Put your right signal back on, back up, straighten out. Once you're even with the curb, boom, you're done. Put the car in the park, lift your hands just like the rodeo. Congratulations, you parallel park like a boss. It's that easy. Now, they used to teach front-end parallel parking. That was a bloody nightmare. We don't do that no more. We here at Hernandez do not teach that crazy kind of parallel parking because it's a lot tougher. All right. The state of Texas does not expect anyone to use that kind because it's a lot tougher. Reversing in parallel parking requires those 3 maneuvers. That's it. Turn the wheel to the right, turn the wheel to the left, and make sure that you stop in the right spot. All you got to do to perfectly get it. Okay. And in real life situations, that means you can then just stay right there, and as long as that vehicle ahead of you doesn't move, you'll have enough room to get out. Even if the car behind you gets, like it leaves and a new car comes in and they're right up on top of you. Doesn't matter, because as long as you still have that gap up front, you'll be able to get out. All right? Now, when following another car, what is a good distance at which you should follow behind? Okay. Well, for speeds under 30 miles an hour, the minimum time with good road conditions is 2 seconds. For speed above 30 miles an hour, maintain 4 seconds, and then novice drivers should maintain at least 2 seconds at 30, 6 at 40, or above 30, and around 7 or 8 at highway speeds. Okay? Just because extra time, extra space, extra safety for y'all folks. All right? But more importantly, how do you measure time while driving? All right, because we can't really be thinking numbers unless you're a math whiz. Then you can convert your speed into numbers real fast. But there's poles, posts, signs, the road changes color, all kinds of things we can use as little landmarks. All right, now when the vehicle ahead of us passes one of those landmarks, gets past it, then we start counting, but not like that rushed counting that we do when we're playing hide and seek and we're trying to catch everybody, still trying to find a good spot. No, this is like that good counting that you do when your parents are like, you know, you count to 3 and I'm gonna spank you. That 1, 2. Get your 3 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. All right. And if that's how long it takes for you to arrive at that spot, then you're 3 seconds behind them. Since you should be a minimum of 4, we take our foot off the accelerator, slow down a little more, open up that gap, pick another landmark, and try again. All right, after a little bit of practice, you'll be able to visually tell roughly if you've got your timing. All right, after a little bit of practice and doing it the right way, you'll be able to see, hey, I'm getting too close. Let me slow down. Let me back up. Let me open up that space. All right. But that distance is going to vary by speed, all right? So it is going to take a while to learn that and be able to recognize it, but you will eventually. But for now, just real simple. Pick a landmark, start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm perfect now. Awesome. All right. Okay. Now, at highway speeds, you want to put 5 to 6 seconds for experienced drivers, 7 to 8 seconds for novice drivers, and the car in front of you. Okay. With that much space, occasionally, very often, another car will get between you and the car ahead of you. We don't get upset. That is not our personal driving lane. All we do, take our foot off the accelerator, drop back, and open that gap right back up. Get it back to where it should be. Okay? Because that's what we got to do. We got to maintain a safe following distance. If we don't drop back, that blue car is currently too close to the red car, and if the red car messes up, that blue car is going to have to be fast on the draw to stay out of that accident. All right? But we have plenty of room to avoid that whole thing. Now, to what agency and within what time period must a change of address be reported for driver's licensing purposes? Well, you have to let the DPS know. The Department of Public Safety, same people that gave you your license, have to be told, hey, I moved. Once again, you can do this online. You don't even have to go in person ever for this one. Okay? If you move, you have 30 days to let them know. You go online or you go in person, give them your new address. When you go in person, you have to give them proof of your new address. When you go online, it just lets you put it in real fast. And then they'll send you, they're going to charge you. I think I paid $18. But they're going to charge you a little bit of cash, and they're going to send you a new license with your new address. All right. Now, I moved from apartment 21 to apartment 24. Same address, same city, same apartment complex, just a different unit. I had to change my license. When my fiance moved in with me, she had to change her license. It's that simple. And she moved from Mission to McAllen. All right? Doesn't matter how far or how close you're moving. Within 30 days of moving, you need to have changed your ID. And don't wait the full 30 days. Get it done before then. Okay? If you move to another state, if you go to the DMV there, most states will reciprocally just give you a license. That means you're like, hey, I just moved here from Texas. I got a Texas license. I want to get, a Georgia license. And they'll be like, all right, sweet. You got a license in Texas. Let's do an eye exam. Boom, there you go. Here's your license for Georgia. It's going to be a printed out paper. They'll mail you a new one to your new address. You'll still have to give them the same stuff, the proof of residency, like where you're staying and all that fun stuff. But that's easy, right? But you have to get it updated. Now, if you wait 6 months, oh no, I've been living here for like 6 months and I just haven't gotten around to changing it yet, then they may make you take another driving test, or they could give you a ticket because the law says you have to change it within 30 days. So don't wait. All right, folks? And it is illegal to have two valid licenses from two different states. So if you do move to another state, what you want to do is take your license and cut it across this black strip right here up on the top. All right, doing so will invalidate your license. That's the old one, and then you'll have the new one that is valid. All right. Now, what effect does the use of marijuana and amphetamine have on driving? Well, first and foremost, I want to point out that marijuana is a Spanish word, and the reason that it's listed as that in Texas is because they were going after Latinos. I think that kind of sucks. I don't know why we're still using that word, but anyway, there's my little protest. All right, so what effects does the use of cannabis and amphetamine have on driving? All right, well, the problem with cannabis is that one of the main ingredients is THC. All right, THC is classified as a hallucinogen, and it affects your visual cortex, aka seeing. Now, hemp has become legal in the state of Texas, and on my recreational time, I am very glad to use some because it's good for my glaucoma, good for my anxiety. Anything that helps the two of those, I am solid for. So I can let you know now out of firsthand experience, very clearly, very positively, that what THC does is it causes a disinterlace in your visual cortex. Okay? Now, what does that mean? That's like video game lag on your vision. Well, the problem is that when you're going 70 miles an hour, even a tenth of a second lag means you're 10 feet further back than your brain thinks it is. All right? So distances that small can cause problems. All right? That can mean the difference between clipping a vehicle as you try to change lanes or rear-ending someone as you're coming to a stop. All right? And unfortunately, well, that's bad for you. So don't smoke and drive. Right? It's irresponsible. No edibles in driving either, folks, just in case you think you got around that. Now, amphetamines are things like meth, cocaine, and crack, right? Now, there are studies that show that they do increase and strengthen focus, which sounds like a good thing, but see, the problem is like, all right, this is what you need to see normally, but amphetamines cut your world down to this, and this is just not enough, right? We need more than this. Because it's not just you, it's not just the car ahead of you, it's everything going on around you that you need to keep attention on. All right, so amphetamines, even though they do wake you up, They are not going to make you a better driver. They're going to increase your focus beyond a safe point, and now you're going to have a hard time paying attention to the whole road, and that's dangerous. All right. Now, on the DPS exam, drugs are bad. Most drug questions have 3 answers. Drugs are good, drugs are bad, drugs do nothing. Drugs are bad. That's the answer you're going to choose. All right. But you know this, drugs leave you impaired. I mean, like, anyone ever seen a drunk person try to walk and they failed miserably? Okay? Same thing happens with people on drugs. They're trying to do something and they fail miserably. Right? I saw a dude running on crack once. Well, the problem is I didn't really see him, but he was running on crack through a field of some really tall grass. And then I saw the grass move out the corner of my eye. I slammed on the brakes expecting a deer or a pig, and I hit a crackhead going like 10 miles an hour. And then he got up and he just ran away. Hey, are you okay? Do you need some help? Like the Flash, just gone, right? He did not notice my car. He did not notice my headlights. He did not hear my squealing brakes. And when I hit him, he was shocked, got up, and ran away. Okay? Crack is not good for you. Please do not smoke crack. Everyone knows what a crackhead looks like. But people still continually smoke crack. That tells you how good that horrible stuff is. Don't ever even try it. Anything that makes you feel that good that you're willing to accept your eventual fate of looking like La Chupacabra is just not worth it, folks. All right? So say no to crack. What is the penalty for being convicted of driving while intoxicated? Well, in the state of Texas, your very first offense of DWI, 0.08 or higher on an intoxilizer or breathalyzer, is going to cost you $2,000, and that's just the fine. Right? Your second offense will cost you $4,000, and your third offense will cost you $10,000. But on top of that $2,000, they charge you for the very first time. And by the way, in case you don't know this, that is 2 months at full-time minimum wage. So unless you want to spend 2 months working to pay off just the fine, don't drink and drive. Lots of good reasons not to drink and drive. And if you're motivated by money, well, $2,000 is a heck of an amount of money to lose. My brother actually got his first and second offense for drinking or driving while intoxicated. And I asked him, and he said, at the end of the day, he spent around $14,000 on the 2 tickets total, because there are other fees, costs, and things that you have to pay for when you get arrested for this, and you will get arrested. So you also have that. Then you have that criminal record, points on your license, things like that. We just want to avoid all of this. Do not imbibe alcohol and then drive. Now we have Uber, we have Lyft. If you need a ride, get a Lyft. All right? Don't try to drive home if you've been drinking. All right? Now, what does a green arrow showing with a red light mean? What does a green arrow showing with a red light mean? A green arrow with a red light displayed at the same time means the driver can proceed carefully in the direction of the arrow after. They may proceed carefully in the direction of the arrow after they yield the right of way to other vehicles and pedestrians that were already in the intersection. So when the light goes red and the green arrow comes on, you wait for everyone to finish getting out of the roadway, and then you may go. That's how that works. Okay? Now, when does a green arrow continuing. This is the only time you have the right of way while turning left. Every other time you make a left turn, it is what is called at your own risk. That means that you need to be paying attention, and it needs to be safe before you try to go. Because if you don't, they're not required to stop, and they may accidentally hit you. All right? So make sure that you have plenty of time and space before attempting a left turn, and you'll be fine. But if you got this arrow, they're supposed to stop for you. But it says carefully, because some people are dee-dee-dee, and they don't. All right? So keep an eye on traffic as you're going. That way you can stop if you see someone's just not going to stop for you. Right? Now, many times we see cars turn into the shared left turn lane. The purpose of this lane is only for making left turns. Okay? What maneuver is this person doing? Let's see. Well, the cars move along, and then the person is moving. Wait, that's to the right. So that's not proper use of the shared left turn lane. If you can't pull directly into the lane of traffic you want to go in, then you may need to go the other direction and get turned around by making some actual turns, right? It is not cool to wait in the center lane, in the turning lane, to make a lane change to the right. It's not cool and it's not safe. Why? Because this happens a lot. All right, you get into the turning lane to wait for your little gap in traffic so you can move over to the right, and then here comes Mr. Red and Mr. Green. Now, Mr. Green's following too closely, and Mr. Red is a bread truck. So it's just a big box truck, and it says Krispy Kreme on the back, and Mr. Green's just thinking about them Krispy Kreme donuts. And he's too close, and he can't really see beyond the vehicle, but he doesn't care because he's almost where he's got to be. And then he sees, oh look, I just passed the barber shop. I got to get in the turning lane because my turn's coming right up. So now Mr. Green goes ahead, gets into the turning lane, and boom! You just got hit by a vehicle going 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour. Right? As a matter of fact, on a 4-lane with a turning lane, the speed in Texas has a maximum speed of 70 on a highway. So you could be getting crashed into by someone going 70 because you decided to wait in the turning lane to be able to move over. Okay? This is a problem. Now, it gets even worse when you're actually pulling into the turning lane, like you're actively driving into the turning lane ahead of Mr. Red because you see them coming. So you get into that lane, and then Mr. Green goes at the same time, and now we add their speed and yours to the collision. All right, so they're going 70, you're going 30. Boom, that's a 100-mile-an-hour crash. In the words of Fezzik from The Princess Bride, there will be no survivors. Because that's what's going to happen if you have a 100-mile-an-hour crash. People are going to lose their lives. Okay? So please do not use the center lane as a prep lane to get into the lane you want to go. If you can't pull directly into the lane that you want, go the other way, move over, get into the turning lane, make a turn, make a turn, make a turn, make a turn. You're going the direction you wanted. Yes, you wasted 5 minutes of your life, but let's see. 5 minutes, the rest. I'd rather waste the 5 minutes and keep the rest of my life than lose the rest of my life and save 5 minutes. You got to your death 5 minutes faster. Not a good thing to hear. Okay? Now, under what conditions are overtaking and passing on the right side permitted? Right. If the road is clear of parked vehicles or other things and is wide enough for 2 or more lanes in each direction, okay, it's a single lane. Maybe a single lane with a shoulder. What's a good example? Standard Street. For those of you that live in FAR, if you've ever driven down Standard Street towards the library, you see those lanes are super wide. Well, on that kind of roadway, you may pass on the right-hand side. Okay? If you are on a one-way road and there are 2 lanes, you may pass another car in the right-hand lane because both lanes are going in the same direction. That's easy peasy, right? Now, there's one more, and I actually like this one because it's smart. It's very smart, and you can tell a bunch of people had accidents, and they were like, no, we need to make this rule a thing, right? Now, you may pass on a paved shoulder when the vehicle you are passing is slowing or stopped on the main travel portion of the highway, disabled, or preparing to make a left turn, but only if the shoulder is paved. So what does that mean? So the car ahead of you is slowing down to a stop, is already stopped, or is broken down. If the shoulder is wide enough to pass them, you can pass them, but only on those. If they're going slower than you, not specifically slowing to a stop, you got to stay behind them. You can't go around them to the right like that. That's illegal. But if they are stopped, if they are slowing down to stop, or if they are disabled, we may pass them to the right side. Now, the reason this is beneficial is because if we pass them to the left like we pass any other car and they make a left-hand turn, well, that's going to be either directly in front of us, directly into us. Okay? So it's awesome that we have this as an option, but only when the shoulder is wide enough for your car. Okay? Now you know. Ding. Right. This is the only exception. This is the only time that you may use the shoulder of the road to pass. Okay. Now you know, you can't say no one ever told me. Number 40. When a driver is waiting to make a left turn, what is the procedure he should take when the light turns green? Now, yesterday I mentioned that we'd come up to a question that would explain that ambulance thing a little bit better. So here we go. All right. I'm going to tell you where the ambulance situation came into play, and I'll re-explain that, and I'll finish up with this. All right, so when the light turns green, one car is allowed to pull forward into the intersection in the turning lane. Okay? When you pull forward, you leave your wheels straight. Okay? Do not anticipate the turn. Leave your wheels straight. One car is allowed to go and wait in the middle of the roadway, and once there's a gap in traffic, they can go. If the gap in traffic never comes and the light goes red, before anyone else gets to go, remember, a green light says you may only go once the road is clear. So you wait for this person to finish their turn, and then everyone else starts going once the light is changed, right? Now, if you're in this position and you hear a siren coming and you recognize that it's coming in your direction, okay, wait there. Don't try to turn, because that siren, if they're coming up from behind you or in front of you, they may go into that area that you're turning through. But staying still will ensure that they're able to get around you without hitting you, and even if the light goes red, you get to finish your turn before everyone else has to go. Okay? Even if the vehicles coming from your left and right are about to start going, because that ambulance came through, you get to finish your turn even if the light went red. Even if the ambulance didn't come through, if traffic never lets you go once you put yourself in the middle, you get to finish your turn after red. Why? Because this makes sure that at least one person gets to make a left turn on every single green light. Okay? Now, once the car is turned, the next car can move forward into the intersection if that did not happen after a red light. If the light is still green, the next car can move forward and they can wait. And then if the light turns red on them, they get to just finish up. All right? Okay? So even if the light is red, there it is in writing, you can see it, you're okay to finish. But just because you can do this doesn't mean you have to. All right? When I've got a multiple lane and a 2-lane road, I definitely do not do this, even if I have a turning lane, because me getting into the perfect position and the vehicle opposite me getting to the perfect position, and neither of us would be able to go anymore because we'd be too close to each other to safely get through. So I will not do this when I'm doing this to turn onto a 2-way street. Okay? Or a 2-way, 2-lane street. Okay? There's just not enough room. It's a little too dangerous. Okay? You can choose to do this, or you can choose to stay behind the solid white line and wait until you have a gap big enough for you just to go completely, or wait until you have the green arrow, right? That's your prerogative. That's your decision. You do not have to do this. But this is legal, and this is an option, and this does guarantee at least one car makes it through each green light if you know that you can do it. All right? Now, what is an uncontrolled intersection, and what precautions should a driver take when approaching one? Well, an uncontrolled intersection is an intersection with no lights or no signs. You'll typically see these in new developments where there isn't much traffic. If no other vehicle is approaching, you do not have to stop. If another vehicle is approaching, you use your best judgment. Are they going to get there first? Yeah, then I'll slow down, let them through, and then I'll go through. All right? If you're unsure, treat it like a 4-way stop and just come to the stops. Okay? We also run into this situation basically when the power's out at an intersection. Okay? If you're approaching an intersection and the power's out and there's no other cars coming, you don't have to stop. You may continue through. However, if there is other traffic present and you see that there is going to be a conflict, treat it like a 4-way stop. It's that easy. But we have to be looking to make sure that it's safe. If you didn't look to make sure that it's safe, you treat it like a 4-way stop. And then you look. Right? Because traffic does squirrely things. Right? What regulations should a bicycle rider observe? All of them. The same as motor vehicles, period. If a bicyclist chooses to be on the roadway, they need to follow all the same rules. That means driving on the same side of the road as the cars. They should be using hand signals. I'm going left, I'm going right, I'm stopping. Okay? Because bicycle hand signals are the exact same ones as those you use in a car. Okay? So how do you signal left? I just showed you. Boom. Voy para allá, I'm going that way, I am signaling left. Right? How do you signal right? I'm coming this way, I'm going to the right. Boom, hand up, and then blade hand. Hand always in this position, that is blade hand, that is an appropriate signal. You pointing or hooking your thumb, that's not an appropriate signal. This is an appropriate signal. And then I'm slowing down, I'm stopping, I'm staying right here, hand down. All right, blade hand. So left, you point left. Right, you point up like you're going to hook over the car and point to the right. And slowing and stopping, you point your arm down like you're staying right there. Right? When is a bicyclist not required to ride on the right side of the roadway? Well, when they're on a one-way street with 2 or more marked traffic lanes, they can ride as near as possible to the left curb or edge of the road. Okay, when are bicyclists allowed to ride 2 abreast in traffic? 2 abreast means side by side, right? Now, individuals riding 2 abreast on a lane road may ride in a single lane and not impede the flow of traffic, okay? Or must ride in a single lane and not impede traffic. What does that mean? That means all the bicyclists have to be in kind of like a buffalo herd of bicycles, and traffic needs to be light enough that everyone can just get around them. There isn't traffic congestion because of them, okay? Now, what are the 3 most common caused motorist, car, bicycle crashes? Or motorist caused car, bicycle crashes. What are the 3 most common crashes between bikes and cars? They're the same as the 3 most common bikes and people, cars and people, people and bikes. No, I already said that. Yeah, cars and cars. There we go. Cars and cars. Right. And what are they? A motorist turns left in front of an oncoming bicycle, person, or car. That's a common collision. A motorist turns right across the path of a bicycle, person, or car. Right? Or a motorist pulls away from a stop sign and fails to yield a right-of-way to a bicycle, person, or car. Because intersections where roads cross and meet, someone can make a bad decision and cost lives. That's why expressways are so beneficial. And that's why expressway speeds get faster than highway speeds. Because highways are all roads with intersections. Expressway have no intersections, they simply go. Right? What circumstances may lead to a possible loss of your license? You may lose your license for repeated violations of traffic laws. A friend of mine got 18 and then she lost her license. And I lost my stuff because I was laughing hysterically. I had to excuse myself from court because the judge told her exactly what I did. You, my friend, are a hazard to the other drivers. That's why so many people crash around you. And she didn't want to believe it, but he took her license away for 2 years. Now, I did hear from someone else that their friend lost their license after just 6 tickets. Okay, so there's no set number. Once the judge goes, you know what, we've had enough, they will take your license because the more tickets you get, that means the more often they're catching you driving improperly. Okay? Doesn't matter how small, you keep breaking the law, they'll suspend your license. You can lose your license due to parking tickets if you don't pay them, folks, or if you get enough. Now, what circumstances may lead to a possible loss of your license? Well, we also have parental authorization withdrawn for individuals who are under 18 years of age. Your parents sign a piece of paper when they get you your permit or your provisional license that says they have my permission and I accept responsibility so that they may drive. And at any time they want, they can take that away. So if I find out one of my students is racing, if I find out one of my students is drinking and driving, if I find out one of my students is habitually doing anything that's dangerous, I will gladly call the parents, remind them that this is an option, and explain to them all you got to do is go down to the Department of Public Safety, give them your kid's name, date of birth, and address, and tell them they're under 18, I want to take away my permission for them to drive. And then boom, your license will get revoked. So please don't upset your parents too bad, because if they get mad enough at you, they might find this on Google. How to punish my teenager without breaking the law. Sorry, I'm just imagining the responses on that on Google. Yeah, so when you get your permit, your parents have to give you permission to drive. They can take it away whenever they want. All they gotta do is go in and sign a piece of paper. So behave. Right. What else? Well, having any kind of fake ID can cost you your real ones. Okay, if you get caught with fake ID, they will take away your real one. Right? Your permit needs to be kept with you, not your parents. Right? Now, if you do not carry a wallet, if you do not like having something in your pocket, or you don't carry a purse, then I suggest you do like me. I have a lanyard that I keep my keys, my permit to teach, and my driver's license in. I've also got a couple tags from the first con that I paid to go to, because that's my swag. I'm a big old dork and I show it. If you don't like having a license, get this set up, all right? Because if you show up to a driving lesson and you don't have your permit, or if you go out and you want to drive but you don't have your permit and you get pulled over, well, that's a citation, because there's a restriction on your driver's permit that says F, and it basically says you have to have the permit on you while driving, okay? But also, it's illegal to carry someone else's ID. That's considered fake ID. So, legally speaking, your parents cannot have your permit. Please do not make them, it's steward. It is your responsibility to keep track of it and make sure that you have it with you anytime you want to drive. All right? That is super easy. It hangs around the neck when I don't have it on my llavero, and then I don't have to worry about where is it, right? Or leave it in the car, right? But it is illegal for your parents to have their ID on you, and your responsibility to keep track of it. Okay? Not finishing driver's education, you won't be able to get your driver's license. Okay? Once you start this program, you have to finish it to get your license. If you do not finish, you will not be able to take the driving test to get the license. So please, finish what you've started, because it's not that hard. All right? Some students think they can start the course, get their permit, and then they're able to get their license when they turn 18. Nope. Remember, you have to be 25 years old before driver's ed isn't required anymore. Okay? Now, why are seatbelts important? Well, drivers and all passengers in a passenger vehicle are required to use safety belts if occupying a seat in a vehicle equipped with a safety belt. Children who are under age of 8 or less than 4'9" in height, regardless of age, are required by law to be secured in an appropriate child passenger safety seat if occupying a seat in a vehicle equipped with a safety belt. Children who are not at least 8 but under 18 of age, or those who are under 8 years of age but taller than 4'9", must still be secured by a safety belt if occupying the seat while so equipped. What does that mean? That means if you're in a chair and there's a seat belt, you have to buckle up by law. If you're 8 years old or 4'9" or shorter, you need a booster seat or a car seat, depending on how tall, how heavy. Okay? That's everybody. All right? Some cars, older cars, have like grandfather laws where it doesn't have to have the shoulder strap if it's old enough. Other ones, like they know that the back seat didn't have seat belts and they're not required to have them. But that doesn't mean that it's safe to ride them without. It just means that they're not going to give you a ticket if you're driving that particular 1950s car, okay, or a car older than that. Okay? But seatbelts save life, folks, so wear them. All right? And the reason that these are laws is because too many people choose not to. Too often it's young children that aren't buckled up, and an adult may be able to survive a car crash pretty well if they aren't buckled up and it's low speed. But a 2-year-old is going to get thrown and is going to experience an amount of force equal to that of all of their parents and siblings sitting on top of them, and that's generally fatal for small children. So they get kind of heavy on it when you have kids unbuckled, right? Driver and all passengers in a passenger vehicle are required to use safety belts if occupying a seat in the vehicle equipped with a safety belt. Right? If you're driving and you have 5 people in the car with you for a total of 6, and nobody has their license on, or nobody has their seatbelt on, you as the driver will get 6 tickets for the individuals not wearing their seatbelts. Each of the individuals not wearing their seatbelts will also get their own. So there will be a total of 11 tickets for no seatbelt, or 11 charges of no seatbelt for your 6 passengers. And you as the driver are responsible for nearly half of that money. Buckle up and make your passengers do the same. Okay. Children under the age of 8 and shorter than 4'9" are required to use a booster seat, regardless of age. So if you're 37 years old and you're 4'8", you will need a booster seat your entire life. Don't be ashamed of it. My very first adult driver's education class, when I got to this question on the review, one of my students jumped up and I could barely notice because he was 4'7". And he was like, I got to use a booster seat. And he was super proud of it. He called it his captain's chair. He loved it because it had a little compartment that he could put snacks in, and it had a cup holder. So no matter if the car that he was driving in had a cup holder or not, he had his right there. And it was a big joke with his friends, and he loved it. He made the joke. He didn't let them make the joke. Why? Because he was 4'7". You know, it wasn't his choice to stop growing. It's just how it was. Why be ashamed? Why be embarrassed? So folks, if you're a little short, don't worry about it. Use a booster seat. It helps you see better. That's all it does. And to make sure that that seatbelt doesn't go across that fragile neck and instead across your sturdy chest. Your neck can take about 30 pounds of pressure, and then your neck can break. Your chest can take something like 2,000 pounds of pressure in an accident before experiencing significant damage. All right? So maybe we want to rely on our chest taking the seatbelt, not our throat, right? And again, children who are at least 8, but under 17, who are under 8 years, or those who are under 8 years but taller than 4'9" have to wear a seatbelt. So everyone over 4'9" got to wear a seatbelt if there's one available. Everyone under 4'9", everyone under 8 needs to be in a booster seat. We mentioned this a couple times because they're kind of strict about this, folks. Now, you don't have to know this, but this is the chart that explains the progression. Now, when you do eventually have a family of your own, if you don't know how to put in a child safety seat, go to your local police department. They have officers trained in how to do it. They will gladly teach you how to do it. Sometimes they even have free, like $120 car seats to give away. So like, we can't get the baby home. We don't have a car seat. We need to borrow one. Hey, let's just go down to the PD, see if they got a free one, or call up a few PDs, see if they got some free ones. It happens. It's like you can also get a free bicycle helmet from many police departments because providing those for free reduces fatalities big time. And just wearing a helmet, just using your car seat can save a life. All right, and law enforcement agencies are all about that. They don't want to bust you. They want to make sure that you get home safe. So you can even ask them for help. All right. I've actually at the police department shown people how to put a car seat in. It was kind of cool. Now, if you have a crash and someone is injured, you should carefully help anyone who might be hurt and send for skilled help as quickly as possible. Now, if you have zero first aid training and you faint at the sight of blood, what you need to do is you need to verbally communicate. Hey, is anybody in the car bleeding? Is everyone all right? Is there some broken bones? Like if you straight up can't even look at blood, then what you need to do to get them skilled help is ask them. If they can't respond, then you're going to have to suck it up real quick and be like, okay, I saw blood. All right, yeah, 911, yeah, there was an accident. There's 2 people in the other car, they're both unconscious, and at least one of them's bleeding, and I kind of faint when I look at blood, so I can't tell you more, but send paramedics now. This is where we are. That is stopping and render aid. Now, if you're a nurse, yes, we really hope that you jump out the vehicle and start doing what you can. But whatever you can do, even if it's just hand them a rag and say, here, press this to that bleeding thing on your chest. Even if it's just that, that could be the difference between life and death. Right? When I was in Utah, I was training at a call center, and my boss shows up, the trainer shows up covered in blood. And she's like, hey guys, I had a rough morning. There was an accident in front of me. I pulled over to help and called 911, and I saw someone was bleeding real bad, and I put my thumb in his aorta, or in his artery, and I held it there until the paramedics got there, and they were like, you probably saved his life. So I need to go wash as much of him off of me as I can. I'll be right back. And then she runs out of the room to go wash up. And then 30 seconds later, one of my buddies, Brock Mooseman, best name ever in my opinion, but Brock Mooseman runs into the room. Hey guys, my cousin got into a bad accident, almost died this morning. I'm going to the hospital. Tell the trainer that I'll be back tomorrow. And we were all like, oh my God, she totally saved Brock's cousin's life, right? But she stopped and rendered aid because she was required to. She stuck her thumb inside a bleeding thing because it was the only thing she could think to do to help, and it did save his life, all right? No matter how big or how small. Now, I'm not suggesting you jam your thumb in people's body, but handing them a rag, gentlemen, if you're not bashful about ripping off that t-shirt and giving it to them, here, hold this against the injury, all right? This is one of my favorite shirts in the world. I would sacrifice it in a heartbeat to save someone from bleeding to death. All right, just do whatever little bit of help you can. If all that is look at them so that you can give the paramedics a better description. Yeah, it looked like there was a broken arm, a broken leg, and there's a bunch of bleeding going on. Yeah, they told me their blood types were A and B negative. I said, no, you need to be positive. And he said, don't make me laugh. That's a dad joke, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you are required to stop and render aid, folks. Do the best you can. If the best you can is just make that phone call, you stay there, you wait, you help. All right? Now, if you are driving at the speed limit and another driver sounds their horn and starts to pass you, you should. Oh, and you should also call the cops on the last one. But if you are driving at the speed limit and another driver sounds their horn and starts to pass you, what do? Well, since we're not in a race and we understand that decisions made about saving time are dangerous because they are. Anytime you go, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm in a rush, that's a mistake. And when someone's starting to pass you, when you're doing the speed limit, that's a mistake. What do? We let them get past us. Slow down and let them get ahead of you. Why? Because the longer it takes them to pass you, the more likely they are to get into an accident. And the last thing they will do before they get into that accident is swerve to the right back into your lane. If you're next to them, that means they're going to hit you. If they're right in front of you, that means their bumper may catch you, spin you out, or you may spin them out, cause that other car to hit them again, bounce back into you. All kinds of crazy pinball nonsense can happen. right? And I'm dead serious. Stuff like that can happen. And so if someone else honks their horn and starts to pass you, slow down and let them pass. The sooner they get back into your lane, the sooner you're going to be safe and not going to have to worry about them getting into a wreck that's going to catch you. Okay? Now, is it legal to stand in the roadway for the purposes of soliciting a ride? If you don't understand this question, let me break it down for you. Is it legal to stand on the side of the road and ask for a ride by lifting your thumb? This guy right here. Is this legal? No, not anymore. The United States decided, because of the behavior of a bunch of people in the 70s and then a ton of people in the 80s, to make hitchhiking illegal. Because back then, before the cell phone, there were people that would be like, hey, I need a ride, and then shankity, shank, 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 and then dead body dumped on the side of the road, car stolen. Okay? Or rapes, or kidnapping. Some people were probably even sold into the sex trade. I mean, it's messed up, the stuff that people were doing, and they were using hitchhiking as a means of finding victims. All right? So it is now illegal to hitchhike in the United States. Most of the world it's still fine because people behave themselves. But here, unfortunately, it is now illegal. All right? So don't hitchhike. Don't pick up a hitchhiker, no matter how attractive, no matter how harmless, because there's this movie called Orphan about this little girl, and she looks 12, and then you find out she's like a 40-year-old lady with a genetic defect, and she killed her entire family because she wanted the dad. So no matter how harmless somebody looks, they can be dangerous. And the best proof of that is the dog that probably lives within 50 yards of each and every one of us, the Chihuahua. Because Chihuahuas are so tiny and so cute, and they're responsible for like 50% of the dog bites in the valley. Okay? Can't trust them just because they look harmless, because anyone can be dangerous. Even Bruce Lee said it. See, this don't matter, because this bang, you're dead. Kid you not, that's some stuff that Bruce Lee said, because even he knew a gun to take out a Kung Fu master. All right? And that's how Kung Fu Panda should end. Gatling guns and pose like I can't handle this, deuces. If you must walk on the highway, on which side of the road should you walk? Okay. Now, a highway is a road with intersections. So if you're walking on a road with intersections, you can't walk on the expressway, that's illegal. But if you're walking on the highway, a road with intersections, you should walk on the same side as opposing traffic. Why? Because you want to see the cars coming at you. That way, if someone starts coming off to the side of the road, you can Leroy Jenkins, Wilhelm yell, and get out of the way and not get run over by a car. But if you're walking in the same direction as traffic, well, an adage that my grandfather used to say a lot, el chingazo avisa, comes into play. That translates to the hit lets you know. Because when you're walking in the same direction as traffic, well, you're not going to know that car is going off-road and about to hit you until, bam, you're bent over backwards onto its hood and dying from the impact. Okay? So if you have to walk on the highway, walk on the opposite side of the road, facing traffic. That way you can get out of the way when necessary. Now, what color is a disabled person's cane? Only an individual with a disability, either physical or visual, may carry a white cane. So if you see someone crossing the street and they got a white cane, and that light just changed to green, but they're still crossing, give them some time. They can't see that the light changed. Or maybe they're physically impaired and can't get across any faster. All right? And if you want to carry a cane, it can't be white unless you have a physical or visual impairment. Now, what is the purpose of an exhaust emission system? Well, that reduces air pollution. Okay? And every vehicle has an exhaust emission system, and that system needs to be in good working order without any missing parts. If it's missing parts, you won't pass inspection. All right? And California currently tests the amount of gases that come out, like they have a thing that catches the emissions. Other states will eventually get there as well, and then all these old beaters that throw black smoke every 2 seconds are going to be going off the roadway. Now, on a one-way street, what color is a broken lane marker? When traffic is traveling in the same direction, the lines in the middle of the road are white. When traffic is traveling in the opposite direction, the lines in the middle of the road are yellow. Once you cross a yellow line, the direction of traffic is flipped. Okay? Now, you should dim your lights when you are within how many feet of an approaching car? Now, this is referring to using your brights. Okay? Your brights you do not use in city, therefore it does not fall under the in-city rule. Okay? The only time you use your high beams, your bright lights, is when you are on an unlit country road at night by yourself. Okay? Now, common courtesy says the second you see another vehicle ahead of you or coming from the opposite direction, we lower our lights so as not to blind them with our lights. But there is a minimum distance required by the state, and if you get any closer than that, you can get a citation. So if common courtesy doesn't kick in, remember there is a law about it. And the law says when they're coming from the opposite direction and you're within 500 feet of them, that's about 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds of travel time between you and them, you need to turn down those lights. Okay? Now, if you're coming up behind a vehicle, okay, once you're within 300 feet or about 3 seconds behind them, once you have your following distance, if you're going at highway speeds, or heck, if you're going 40 miles an hour, that's still your following distance because you should be at about 6 seconds, right? Once you have your following distance and you see, hey, there's a car ahead of me, lower down those high beams down to low beams because we only use the high beams on unlit country roads at night when we're alone. No other time unless you're like signaling someone like, hey, your high beams are on, or hey, you may take the right of way. Other than that, only for unlit country roads at night. Remember that, right? Because it's not cool to drive around with your brights on. All right, what do you do if someone is shining their high beams at you? Well, you can alert them, flash, flash, with your high beams, just real quick, and they'd be like, oh, sorry, and they can lower them, or maybe they're like, nope, those weren't even my high beams, and then they really blind you, showing you that their high beams were not on. But what do you do if someone is shining bright lights at you? Slow down and avert your gaze. Look to the side. Focus on that white line right there on the side of the road, and if it's moving towards the edge of your car, you're moving to the middle of the road. If it's moving towards the middle of your car, towards the driver's side, you're moving off your lane to the side of the road, to the right. All right, keep that in position. Take your foot off the gas so that your car starts to slow down, or truck or whatever, and then follow that. And then once you're past the source of the bright lights, then you may look forward, start to speed up again because there could have been somebody else doing the same thing. So we want to make sure we slow down so we don't accidentally rear end someone when we may not be able to see forward real well. Right? If you have sensitivity to light like I do, you may need to wear tinted glasses. I even need mine at night because high beams will kill me. All right. Which lights should you use when you are driving in a fog? Well, as I previously mentioned, we only use our high beams on unlit country roads at night. That means every other time we use our low beams. In a fog, in a rain, in the snow, in the sleet, in the hail, in a dust storm, when you turn off the lights because you can't see or turn on the lights because you can't see for 1,000 feet, just every time other than when you are on an unlit country road at night, it's always the low beams. Okay? What is the maximum number of inches you may lawfully allow an object to extend beyond the left fender of your car? Okay, that is 3 inches beyond the left fender. On the side where traffic's coming, you're kind of like Nemo. You got that short fin on this side, but you get 6 inches over here. Only 3 over here on the left, 6 inches to the right. Okay, why? Because they don't want you damaging other vehicles. Okay, so 3 inches beyond the left fender of your car. That's the one you're going to need to remember because that's the one that does potentially come up on the test. All right. Now, what should you do when coming onto a street from a private alley or driveway? A private alley or driveway is last in priority when it comes to traffic. So what does that mean? That means you yield the right of way to everybody. When you're coming from a private alley or driveway, you stop, you wait for everything to be clear. No people, no cars, no bicycles, no skateboarders, no chihuahua crossing the street, nothing. Then you may go. Not until it's safe. Not until it's clear. Okay? Because you are last in priority. You don't get to just force your way out there because if somebody hits you because you did that, it would be your responsibility. Okay? Now, there is a law that says we have to protect people from their poor choices. But if you ain't got time to protect them from a dumb move, well, then you're going to crash into them because they made a dumb move, right? Don't make a dumb move on purpose. Remember to wait until everything is safe and clear before pulling out into traffic when you're coming from a private alley, a driveway, a business driveway, just any uncontrolled nonsense. Right? Now, how close to a fire hydrant may a vehicle lawfully park? Well, I mentioned yesterday there's 3 numbers you need to know: 20, 15, and 100. Well, 20 is how close you may park to a crosswalk at an intersection. 100 is basically all the other little in-city rules. How far do you have to signal ahead of time before you lane change, before you turn? How close can you be to an intersection before you got to get back to the right-hand lane? That's 100 feet for all of those. Okay. This one is the last one. It's 15. You may not park closer than 15 feet to a fire hydrant. Why? Because when they connect that hose to it, there are hundreds of pounds of pressure, and that hose needs to straighten out before they're able to start bending it to fight a fire. And if you're parked next to it, what they do is they break your window, open your doors, run the hose through. That hose leaks, gets the inside of your car soaked. You've got 2 broken windows. They fight the fire. They tow your car. You now have a ticket for parking next to a hydrant. You have the tow that you have to pay for, and you have windows that you got to pay for, and you got to get your car cleaned, detailed, because it's now soaking wet, and if you don't, it gets moldy. Wait a week to pick that up, and they're going to add $100 per day. So you'll have another $600 on top of what you already owed on day 1. Plus, now, if it's summertime in Texas, that water is most likely going to be mold because they don't just get it wet. They flood the inside of your car because it shouldn't have freaking been there. Right? And so now, people, this is how people lose their cars. This is how police auctions happen. Things like this. They get your car, and then a week later, you finally got them $400 they said you needed, but now it's $1,000 because it's $100 a day that it's an impound. All right? So don't do this so they don't destroy your windows, tow your car, hose your carpets. Because let's say you get it back on that first day, okay, that's $350 for the ticket for parking next to a hydrant. All right? That's going to be another $100 for your tow. We're at $450. Your front windows are probably going to cost you about $150 each. That's another $300. We're now at $750. Got to pay $50 for that good detail to get all that water soaked out and all that broken glass. So we're at $800 because we parked next to a fire hydrant. Don't do it. It's not a good idea, folks. All right? If you don't believe me as to what happens, go to YouTube. There aren't a lot of great videos of them actually doing it. But there are videos of the aftermath, like photographs of a hose running through someone's windows and a driver in the background looking really sad, or at least that was the one that I found. But there's a bunch. All right. One lady, a city employee, was even parked next to a fire hydrant on a city vehicle, on city business, and this guy recorded her, and he was like, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that." And she was like, "Hey, I work for the city and blah, blah, blah." And he went and submitted that video, and she lost her job. She lost her license to drive. Or she was moved to another position where she could no longer drive because she did that in a city vehicle. All right? Doesn't matter who it is, they will do it. I saw this happen to the brother of a mayor because his brother's house was on fire. That was possibly one of the funniest things I've ever seen, but do not park within 15 feet of a fire hydrant or they will do that. 15 feet, that's pretty good though, because, that's a big 30-foot gap with no cars. And you're going to see it and you're going to be like, "Oh, look, a parking space." And you're going to be like, "Oh, fire hydrant, that's why it's there. Let me go around and find somewhere else." All right, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not even worth it for just 2 minutes. Okay? Because that ticket can come the second the police see it. Now, what does a posted speed limit of 55 mean? 55 means that is the maximum speed that you may go, but only under ideal conditions. For everything that's not ideal, the weather, the condition of your vehicle, the condition of the road, the condition of you slow it down, all right? What is the maximum speed limit for passenger cars on Texas highways numbered by this state or United States outside of an urban district? I mentioned a little earlier, the fastest you can go on a road with intersections is 70 miles an hour, okay? So that's a lot of danger right there. That is. When my cousin Joe almost died because he got crashed into at high speed, they were going 65. And, he needed 3 surgeries to keep him alive after that. So these aren't jokes. All right, so pay attention and always have that observation up. Always be looking as you approach any intersection, whether it's a private alley, a business driveway, whatever. People in McAllen, a gentleman lost his life because he was leaving a fast food restaurant. He turned right into traffic. Car crashed into him, hit the driver directly, and his life was over. I'm sure his family would have appreciated dinner getting home. But, not everybody's always looking out. Not everybody's always paying attention. Try to keep others safe, so we have to do it for ourselves too. All right. If he had just stopped and looked, hopefully, maybe things could have been different. But that really happened, folks, and not too long ago. So 70 miles an hour is the fastest, though, outside of urban districts, outside the city limits. Roads with intersections will get all the way up to 70 miles an hour, but you gotta see that sign letting you know it's that fast. Now, how often should you take a break while driving long distances? I can account for this, I can attest to this, I can swear that this is true. Every 2 hours or 100 miles, you need to get out and stretch. I once went 9 hours without taking a break, and when I finally went to stand up, I was just doubled over like this and walking like that, like, you know, a freaking T-Rex, because I couldn't straighten out. It had just been too long, my body was too sore, too beat up, and I didn't even realize it until I tried to stand up. You feel fine, but get down, get out, stretch, move your legs. It makes a world of difference, folks, I guarantee it. Right? Under what circumstances should you never attempt to pass a car ahead of you? Well, any place you don't have clear line of sight, because you need to know for sure you got 30 seconds of clear road at high speeds, or anywhere it's prohibited by law. Okay? How do you know it's prohibited by law? You have a solid white line on your side of the road. That's prohibited by law. Right? When you're passing another vehicle, what is the appropriate amount of distance you should have between your car and the car you're passing before returning to the original lane? Well, now we can't do that following distance trick with landmarks. So what we do instead is we make sure we can see both of their headlights in our rear view mirror before returning to our lane. If you can see both of their headlights, there is at least 3 seconds of space between you and them, and you are not at risk of hitting them. If there are not both headlights in front of, or between, or in the rear view mirror, then you need to get a little further forward before you change lanes back into your lane. All right? Both headlights in the rear view mirror, then you can get back in your lane when passing. All right? At slow speeds, this can happen as quickly as 15 seconds. At high speeds, it can take as long as 60 seconds. All right? When are you required to show proof of financial responsibility? Well, first and foremost, what is financial responsibility? Financial responsibility is a fancy term for car insurance. It means that you will be responsible for any damages that you cause in an accident. All right, so you can have an insurance card that has all of this information because you need to show proof of financial responsibility when you get pulled over, when you buy a vehicle, when you register a vehicle, when you get your driver's license if you already have a vehicle registered under your name. Okay? When you buy a car, before you drive it off the lot, you need to have full coverage insurance on it when you're buying it in payments. If you buy it cash outright, you have whatever insurance you want on it, but you need to have a minimum of liability. On day 15, we'll talk about how insurance works. That's kind of like a sandwich and how you can make that sandwich fulfilling, satisfying, and really take care of you. All right, but that's not today. Now, all of this information is the information on a printed insurance card. If you've got this on that card, you're good to go. All right, you can also have a certificate or copy of a certificate issued by the state comptroller showing that the owner of the vehicle has on deposit with the treasurer money or securities for at least $55,000. Meaning you give the state comptroller 55 grand and they'll use that to take care of your car accident. If the accident costs more than that, well, then you're required to pay the rest, and then you're not allowed to go driving again until you get that comptroller another fat check that takes them back up to $55,000 if monies are spent from that. Okay. You may also have a security bond issued by DPS showing the vehicle has a bond on file with them. Same thing, it's just money goes to DPS. Or you can have a copy of a certificate issued by a county judge or in the county in which the vehicle is registered and shows the owner of the vehicle has on deposit with the county judge or cash or cashier's check of at least $55,000. Once again, if you have 55 grand lying around and you don't need it, feel free to throw it into my pocket when I'm not looking. But you can use that to basically give the city or state or DPS to hold on to your entire driving career until you have an accident, and then the money will be taken out of them to fix it, and then you gotta just get it back up to 55 grand, and then you can keep driving again. Or you can have a certificate issued by DPS showing that you are the owner of 25 or more vehicles registered in your name, and then you qualify as a self-insurer. This is what car lots do. Okay, car lot wrecks into your car. Well, they're probably gonna have the money to take care of hospital bills, and they can throw a car at you as a replacement if they can't afford to fix yours because yours is totaled. All right. Or you can have an image displayed on a wireless communication device that includes all the information from the previous page. And that's a digital insurance card. I've got the Progressive app. That's what I have, digital insurance cards. Those are awesome, but two things. One, for emergencies, any phone, whether it's got active service or not, can dial 911. So if you want to do it this way with a digital insurance card, what I recommend is you get an older phone that you have maybe in a drawer, charge it all the way up, download your digital insurance form, and then hide that phone turned off in your car. Okay? Because sometimes in an accident, the phone that we have in our hand, because we were texting instead of paying attention, or maybe it was on the front seat and it flew off and it banged into the dashboard, and they break. All right. But if you have a phone securely put away that you can have that image saved on, you can show them that even in the event that your phone breaks, or you can dial 911 from that phone even in the event that your phone breaks. Okay? That's why we keep it secure, keep it somewhere safe, somewhere it's not going to break in the event of an accident. That way we still have our insurance card and we still have a means to call 911. All you got to do is just dial 911 from a phone, even if it doesn't have services. So, if you got a friend that's, like traveling or whatever, and they can't afford a phone, just give them like a dead one and they can still use it to call for emergency help. It's kind of awesome, all right? When must you always slow down? Well, we must always slow down when we see a yellow sign, all right? And that yellow sign is shaped like a diamond, right? What other sign warns us to slow down? Well, the only other sign that tells us to take our foot off the accelerator and take a look at the situation is the yield sign. Okay? Both of those, you do the same thing. You take your foot off the accelerator, you cover the brake, and you figure out what's safest. Are there cars coming? I don't see no cars coming. I make it through the intersection, foot back on the gas, boom. That's how we do a yield sign. The yellow diamond, we're like, all right, there's a warning sign. What's it warning me about? All right, I got that covered. Boom. And you keep going. Okay? Now, how should you react when you see a flashing red light? A flashing red light is like any other red light. We stop. We come to a complete stop. 1, 2, 3, full seconds. We look that way, we look that way, we look that way. Make sure that everything's cool, and then we go. If we see traffic close by or coming, we wait until everything's clear before going. We wait until everything is safe before we go. We don't just assume other people are going to stop. We watch them and make sure they're slowing down to come to a stop. All right? Under what conditions must you always stop? Well, we always stop at the stop sign. We always stop at the red light. We always stop at the flashing red light, unless this next one tells us not to, but this next one we always stop at. And the next one is a police officer, because they can tell you to roll through a stop sign. They can tell you to roll through a red light. They can tell you to roll through a flashing red light. Nothing can tell you to disregard the peace officer. Someone puts their life on the line, stands in the roadway for the purpose of conducting traffic, you listen to them. Describe the emblem which identifies a vehicle which travels at speeds of 25 miles an hour or less. It's actually a hexagon, even though most people want to say triangle. It's got 6 sides, but it's a triangle with bars on the outside of it in a slightly more orange. Okay? Because that's what it is, or red. Okay? But it's a triangle, and it's got those bars around it. And it's a hexagon. It's got 6 sides. All right, they're reflective. You can see them at night, and all slow-moving vehicles have to have one mounted on there. All right, if you see like a gas scooter with one of these mounted on there, it's because it can't go above 25 miles an hour. All right, tractors, buggies, actual horse-drawn carriages, things like that will all have this symbol. All right, be cool when you get stuck behind them. They'll move out of your way when they can. They will, I promise. All right, don't be a jerk about it. Now, what sign tells you to watch out for a train? Well, that sign has one job, and its one job is quite simple. Let you know that there's a railroad coming up. So it's that circle sign with the RR. Okay. This one tells you to watch out. There's a train tracks coming. There's a crossing coming. All right. This sign means you are within a few hundred feet of a railroad crossing. Slow down and be prepared to stop. If you see the train coming, stop. Do not try to beat the train, okay? Because the train wins on all ties and any time you lose, right? And trains cannot stop. It can take them miles to come to a complete stop, so don't test it, okay? Describe the sign which warns you to slow down for a winding road. Remember, yesterday, that winding road, or day before yesterday, that winding road is that snaky-looking guy, all right? Winding road. But because it's warning you, it's on a yellow diamond. All signs warning you about something are yellow diamonds, right? What sign indicates that the road you are on merges with another? Well, that's warning you that your road that you're on merges with another, and that's the one arrow with another arrow coming into it. The one where two lanes become one. It's warning, so yellow diamond. Right? What kind of sign warns you that the highest safe speed for the turn ahead is 25? Well, this one we know is a yellow diamond with a turn symbol. And then there's a little placard underneath with the advisory speed limit or cautionary speed limit telling you that the speed is 25. Okay? Boom. Okay? If it's red, if it's raining, if the roads are wet, if they're flooded, if your tires are going bald and you need to get them replaced, you slow it down. Don't forget, for anything less than ideal conditions, we slow it down even on these numbers. Describe the sign that tells you to watch for cross traffic. Cross traffic simply means traffic crossing your lane. All you got to do is think of that, and then you come up with this symbol in your brain. And it's a warning sign, so again, yellow diamond. Take your foot off the accelerator, think about what you got to do your observation checks. If everything looks good and you don't have to stop, continue through. What kind of sign warns you that you should slow down for a sharp rise in the roadway? That's the bump. Okay. And it's a warning, so again, yellow diamond. Okay. Describe the type of sign that would let you know that you are on a short state highway in a city or in an urban area. Well, now this isn't warning you. This sign is telling you about the road that you're on. So that's going to be a vertical rectangle. Okay? And vertical rectangles are black and white, unless they got a little red on them. Describe the yield sign. Well, the yield sign is a single job shape. It is the equilateral triangle, one shape doing one job, and it is now red and white, used to be yellow. Right? At this point, all of them across the nation should have been replaced, but you might still run into one that's yellow. Right? What is the shape of a keep right sign, and how should a driver react when they see one? Well, the keep right sign is telling you how the road operates. So once again, we're talking about a vertical rectangle, and it's that one with that little arrow that goes to the right of the median. Right? And this is just telling you to keep on the right side. That little, there may be like a crossover, but that's for cross traffic, not for you to switch sides because it's a two-way street. Okay? Now, which sign tells you to slow down because you are approaching a double curve? Well, it's warning you again, so we know it's a yellow diamond. Double curve is this guy. See, it's like that. Right? And because there are no right angles on this, because it's all about those curving lines, then we know that they're curves, not turns. And because we read bottom to top, we know the first curve curves to the right, the second curve curves to the left. Okay? You slow down, keep to the right, and don't try to pass during a double curve, because you have no line of sight. But don't worry, there will be solid lines in the roadway letting you know that you cannot pass. Right? Which sign tells you to keep in the right-hand lane when driving slow? This one's real complicated. Everyone pay close attention. Slower traffic, keep right. Yeah, this one's kind of a dead giveaway. Problem is that some people that we share the roadway with can't read English. Okay? So we occasionally have to run into individuals that are driving on the left lane and they're driving slow and they just don't know they're messing up. All right? But be patient with people, keep an eye out for them, and just get around them if you're in the left lane. Right? Now, what is meant by defensive driving? All right? Here's a good one. Right? A defensive driver, to avoid crashes, the defensive driver should stay alert, keep their eyes moving to keep track of what is happening at all times. They look for trouble spots developing all around them, and they have a plan of action. All right, next week on Tuesday, we'll talk about IPDE a little bit, and that's the day where we learn how to do this. Okay? But know that the law requires, and here it is in writing, the law requires drivers to protect each other from their own mistakes. So if someone does something dumb and you have the ability to stop and avoid slamming into them for their mistake, it's your legal obligation to do so. That's why if a pedestrian jumps out into the roadway, regardless of where, we stop and yield the right of way. All right? And that is the last question on this. So now we have some time, folks, for any questions, issues, or concerns you may have. Let's see, where is my mouse? There we go. All right, boom. Our buddy Jumbo Steve. It's the Jumbotron. this Sunday. Y'all may have your DPS exams. But yeah, any questions, any issues, anything that I can help y'all out with? Does anyone need a hand understanding the assignment sheet list? Or did the video we post up and the sheet list itself, was that pretty self-explanatory? Is everyone all right? Is everything okay? Because tomorrow we're gonna get together and we are going to do the Day 5 DPS written review, okay? So tomorrow, before class starts, right before, I'm going to post up the Day 5 assignment, and we're going to do it together in class. I'm going to read the questions, read the answers. Once I have 3 incorrect or 3 correct answers, we move on. The only difference is, if I have 3 correct answers, we just move on. If I have 3 incorrect answers, I'll explain which one is correct and why it's correct, just so it sticks a little bit better, so you have another opportunity to learn that information. The DPS test link, you'll be receiving them Saturday, so you'll be able to take it on Sunday. It was just because I said Jumbotron, I felt like saying Sunday. I was just being weird. But yeah, as soon as you get the DPS test link, you can take it. You should receive those on Saturday, though, if you are going to get one. Now, folks, on the DPS test link, the spam filter does not like Google Documents. The spam filter for your insurance thinks that Google Documents is a great way to steal information from gullible people. And because this is actually a very common way that people get that illegal information, Google Documents are quite often automatically, regardless of if it's from a trusted source, will get sent to the spam box. All right? So if you have assignments 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 done, and you look on the assignment sheet list and you see that those numbers have all been redacted, they're all missing, and the first thing on there is DPS, right? Then that means you've already been sent the link. You need to search your inbox or search the spam box for that link so you can take the test. Sometimes it's not easy to find, but I assure you, Mr. Salceda is awesome about getting those sent out. Most of the time when you're like, I didn't get the link, it's actually there. You just need to look for it a little bit. You can go to the search bar on the top and just type in DPS exam, or you can search for all messages from Hernandez Driving School. Okay? That alone will bring up every message that we've sent you, and you should be able to find that DPS exam. Or you can go directly to your spam box, scroll through, and look for that DPS exam. All right? But Saturday, around noon, Mr. Salceda will be checking the assignments. Everyone that's completed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will then get sent their DPS test link. All right? Everyone that hasn't done it by then will have to wait till Monday to get theirs. Please don't message him, bugging him for the link, because it's your responsibility to have it done by noon on Saturday if you want it earlier than Monday. Okay? Now, once you pass the test once, you're good to go. Now, what happens if you fail the test? Well, you click on the link, you take it again. No big deal. All right? You can miss 6 questions on either half. Okay? It's 2 20-question exams. It's 20 questions on rules, 20 questions on science. If you miss 6 questions total about the 2, that's a slam dunk. You know for sure there is no way you failed. You definitely passed the exam, even if all 6 questions wrong were on the same half. Okay? If you miss 7 or more, at the end of the exam, it'll say, see my results, and it'll tell you where you missed those. It'll tell you how that divided. As long as you did not miss more than 6 from one half of the exam, you still passed. If you have to take the test more than twice to pass it, please rewatch the Day 5 video. That's the best way to get extra study in for all those questions, because what we're doing tomorrow is we're going to answer every possible question that you may see on the exam. The only difference is that, like, if we tell you it's D on ours, the same answer may be listed as B on the actual exam. All right, so you can't just memorize the number that goes with, or the letter that goes with the question, but you can memorize the answer that goes with the question using tomorrow. All right, folks? And don't be shy about throwing up answers, because 3 wrong answers delivered in 2 seconds is going to get us moving along faster than 3 correct answers delivered over 2 minutes. All right? And once you've got 2 votes for one, just jump on, bandwagon it, because 3 wrong is still better than waiting for 3 right, if it's going to take a minute. All right? So, yeah, folks, that's it. So I'm going to get my outro, and if y'all have any other questions, please feel free to hang out and hit me up. So every day make the world a better place, but first do no harm. Every day make that choice, make that change. That's going to take you one step closer to who you want to be. what you want to be, in the future, or the life you want to be living right now. Because the power to change is inside of each and every one of us. If you're not happy about the way you treat your siblings, you can make a small change and turn that into a big change over time. Little changes. It just starts with that one step. With me, it simply became respecting everyone. Not looking at people and automatically thinking the worst of them. Thinking that is one of God's children and I don't know what they're going through, so I ain't even going to sit here and judge them. That was my first big change. And it took a while. It took me about 3 months for that to happen. But after that, I stopped thinking the worst of people. And that helped me move forward. And then I made that decision that I would help people whenever the opportunity arose. Well, actually, I made that a long time ago. But then I reinforced it. I reminded myself of that decision. Right? And it led to who I am now. So every one of you has that capability inside you. All right, folks. Now, any other questions? Anything coming up? I'm not seeing anything, so I'm going to give you all just one more minute for questions, issues, or concerns. If you got any other questions. Hope you enjoyed class today. I liked it. It's a lot of information, good stuff, and we've already gone over everything y'all need to know to pass that DPS exam. Tomorrow we do that DPS exam review together. I think it's 138 or 148 questions. We can get through each and every one of them. I've done it before with 20 minutes to spare in class, so it's totally possible. But it's all about audience participation. All right, folks. So be ready to just jump in with them answers. And then if it's repeating, if the previous one was D and this next one is D, you'll say D again or C again. Just so there's that division. I even had someone go again because they thought it was the same answer again, and it was. All right. Since I'm not seeing any other questions, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Today was day 4 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. Tomorrow's day 5, where we will be doing the DPS written review together as a class. Please enjoy the assistance with tomorrow's homework, as we're going to be all working on that in class. And thank you so much. We'll see you then. Same bad time, same bad channel. Everyone has a pleasant day, and start working on that observation, folks. Get looking left and right at every intersection as you ride shotgun, so that you can be ready when you're in the car. Here we go. If our name is not green on the spreadsheet, we need to register. If your name is in yellow, we need the contract from you. If it's in another color, there's another issue. It may be a missing deposit. So if it's not in green and it's in yellow, we just need you to fill out the teen contract. If it's in another color, call the office tomorrow during office hours, right before class starts, to find out if there's anything pending on your account, like a payment or something. But yeah, that's the basic. And there's no color. Then don't worry about it yet. They just haven't put the colors yet. Someone has to go in and actually check. Do we have the contract? Yes. Okay, make it green. Do we have the contract? Yes, make it green. Do we have the contract? And they're also checking for the payments. So don't worry about it. If there's no color, it just hasn't been assigned yet. Once the colors do appear, then you concern yourself. All right. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything else, so I'm going to finish up. All right. Bye, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel for day 5 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. Deuces, folks. You're welcome.